Hello, everyone. It's the Man United agenda, and I'm just looking to work out how you start an intro.
Maybe we should have told you that. I'll do it. Look, here we go. Look, here we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, bath time. Maybe we should have explained all of that to you before we said you were hosting. Sorry about that, mate.
No, I like going in at the deep end, unless it's a literal swimming pool, as I'm not a very good swimmer.
With a name like Bath Time, that explains it.
Yeah, I'm not aquatic, like not for me. All right, so I'm hosting tonight, Mr. B. How are you?
I'm good as always. As always, I'm very, very good, man. 2 days before the best day of the week.
Nice. You look very smart in your Man United tracksuit this evening. It's a beautiful one. A Monday, action-packed day.
Yeah, we've got at work. We've got this auditing thing. So I've been off work all last week. Came back on Tuesday, and I'm thinking, right, let me just take it easy, get back into the run of things. Then I'm told we've got an audit coming up, so everyone's in panic mode. So all day I've been sort of getting everything up to date. I'm worried about something, and in the back of my mind, I always think, well, when these audits come, I somehow always say my prayers, and no one really looks at my stuff, So I get away with stuff. So like last audit we had, my shit was really bad, and but no one looked at it. Everyone must assume he's all right. We're not bothered with him. I've been at my workplace for 17 years, so I've got a good kind of reputation. But today, I just had a funny feeling. I said, let me get my work done. Let me get this done, just in case, because I just feel that I can't rely on my good luck from the past and not being looked upon. All eyes on me. I wouldn't want that. And I wouldn't want to embarrass my boss as well, because she puts a lot of faith into me. And I wouldn't want her to let her down, because it means a lot to her. She's fluffing around, tapping her wig like that, and getting all. So, sorry, Josephine, but yeah, it's been stressful at work for the last couple of days.
Wow. Disappointed to hear that. Shall we see who we got in the house?
Please.
First up, we got Bailey, the Jemba of chat. Machiavelli the Prince. If you know, you know. Amonde, you're up to date with like sort of Middle Ages Italian literature. Do you know anything about The Prince by Machiavelli?
I know. What's his name? That fake rapper Tupac was named Machiavelli.
You said he was fake.
Yeah.
Why is he fake? Why was he fake?
He's still marauding around with a group called Jurassic 5 right now. His name's Akil the MC.
Sorry.
Anyway,
No, I'm on day. Look, let guys, I'm sorry if we've drifted somewhere where you didn't want to go. What the hell are you talking about, Amonde?
Let's talk after the show. Jurassic 5, Akil the MC. Go and check it out. Anyway, yeah, and Prince, Machiavelli, the Prince. I don't know what he's talking about, but I know Machiavelli from the past, and Prince obviously was an artist formerly known as Prince. That's the Prince I like and know. Great musician, and he apparently passed away as well. But now,
can you stop saying people have apparently passed away? All right.
Anyway, that's another show.
This is nothing to do with Tupac or the artist formerly known as Prince. This is a book that was written in, I believe, 14 or 1500s by a guy called Machiavelli on the art of deception. And it's how you manipulate people. And I think that Bailey is probably going to get on to... I think this is about the Sancho news, to be honest.
Hence why Tupac was known as Machiavelli then.
I don't want to talk about
art
Tupac.
of deception. Anyway, sorry, let's move on. All eyes on me.
So which one is he then?
Akil the MC. Anyway.
I see 5 man and none of them. Anyway, look, you know what? It's all right.
The one with dreads.
Please. He was bald.
Come on, let's move on.
All right, sorry. Look, sorry.
This is what international break does to your voice. Then Bilal saying, "How's it going, ladies?" Pretty well, thank you. Got I love cats. He does look very smart. He's our new number 9. I think he's referring to you. Look, that's Ten Hag at the door, asking if he gets some minutes in. Then some more two-pack stuff. Glad the internationals are over. Couldn't agree more. It's DK Wilson, live and direct from Tucson, Arizona, I think.
Big up.
Damien Walsh, he's live and direct from Cancun in Mexico.
My schoolmate, Drayton Manor High School. Big up Damien Walsh. Yeah, have a great time on holiday, bro.
More stuff about dead rappers. And then it's Rajiji. Good evening, people. Sorry I've not been around. I've been moving house and I've just got back from Karata. Is that that could be Karacha or it could be karate. Who knows?
I'm going karate.
Yeah, you're going karate. I quite like this one. All eyes on a Monday. What's the news? Well, we got quite a lot to get through actually tonight. There, Rajiji. There's actually been some quite interesting things coming out. And look, it's Box. Happy birthday, Box. And it wasn't Karachi, it was karate with a big A. All right, so first thing to talk about is, if you look at the bottom, AFCON problems. So last night, Cameroon thrashed Burundi 3-0, Mr. B. And that means that Cameroon have qualified for the African Cup of Nations. And apparently, stories are coming out that Ten Hag is not happy with Onana's reintegration to the Cameroonian team. Are you happy with it, Mr. B?
Yeah, I don't. To be fair, I don't have a problem with him going. I think Ten Hag is something that we hope that we've planned for. At the end of the day, he's an international. Was the reason why we bought him, because he wasn't going to be playing in the AFCON. That makes no sense to me. So if he's going to go, hopefully he'll get knocked out quick and he'll be back. But at the end of the day, it's international football. You always want to play for your country. Well, majority of them do anyway. So I don't have a problem with him going. I really don't have a problem with him going. If he said to Ten Hag he wasn't going and he had quit before, then maybe there's something for them to talk about. But we wouldn't have been privy to those kind of conversations. So yeah, let him go.
Brilliant. Amanda?
Yeah, I heard he was nominated for the Ballon d'Or based on what he did with Inter Milan, getting to the semi-final, or was it? No, got to the final, sorry, of the Champions League, didn't they? And I think to back that up, if he's going to be nominated and get further up the rankings, he probably needs to be playing and winning the African nations as well. So I know before there was a story, could you remember Rigobert Song? I think he used to play for Arsenal and Barcelona. I think he was the manager of Cameroon. And he didn't like the way Onana plays his football. It was an issue about style of play. He didn't want Onana bringing the ball out the way he does. We've all seen what he does now with the football, his distribution and his bravery, risque kind of thing. So the manager didn't like it. They fell out about it over football tactical issues. And he swore not to play for the national side again. And now here we are. Kind of happy. I think when we signed him, we were kind of happy saying, oh, and guess what? We won't be going in January for the African nations. He'd be with us. But it seems like now he's going to go back to the African nations. I don't even know if he played against Burundi the other day. But they obviously won the game. I've always felt they would win it. I remember you told me about this game. And if they won it, they would qualify for the tournament. So I wish them all the best. I think African football is on the rise. I do like it. The only issue I have with it is that it's mid-season. And it does sort of take a lot of players out. And I think when we do sign African players, you have to take that into consideration. We've got Amrabat as well. He might be missing if Morocco have qualified. I'm not sure if they have either. But that's something you have to consider with this. And also, that I was told the other day that, say Amrabat, we just signed him for a season. A season is only, 7, 8, 9 months or something like that? Well, it was September, that's 3 months till December. And then May is 5 months. So 5 plus 3, 8 months is the season roughly. Or 9 months if you add August. So out of those 9 months, he might take a month out for the AFCON, the African nations. This is Amrabat I'm talking about. And then also, it's going to be Ramadan or Eid, and he'd be fasting. And he might not be able to play, or if he does play, he might not be able to play to level because obviously he might not be strong enough. So we might be missing out on a player for at least 2 months. And that's nothing to do with injury or anything like that, or suspension. It's to do with the African nations and his religious celebration as well. Festivals and fasting. So it is a bit of a dilemma for Man United, and we don't want to be in a position where we've needed these guys and they've been having to be shipped off to a tournament mid-season in January. So, yeah, I wish him all the best. I hope he does go there and smash it. Don't care. I don't want to say I don't want him to be knocked out early. I want him to go there and smash it and raise your profile. You play for Man United now. You're well known around the world, and your Ballon d'Or placing will be a lot higher next year if you do well with Man United this year, which I think he wants to do because he's got that status now, and also go and win the African Nations Cameroon. Good luck to him.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, just to put this in a bit of context, I believe that AFCON is being restructured and will be being moved to summer. This is the last time that it's happening in December for the foreseeable future. So hopefully these problems... Well, I don't want to call another continent's international competition a problem, but it is a problem, and it's going away now. But let's just have a little look at what the comments are saying. First up, we have I Love Cats. He's saying, how many more players are going to have problems with Ten Hag? Sancho, Onana, who's next? We're a mess. And... So, Monday, do you think that any of this is on Ten Hag, or he's just being served a shit sandwich?
At the moment, I would say Ten Hag's just being consistent. The other guys aren't being consistent. And if you cross the line, if you're a habitual line crosser, it's gonna, you know what happens. You're gonna get told off.
Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, you know the story. Yeah. I love that line. He was. I love it.
It's habitual line stepper.
Line stepper. Did I say line crosser?
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I agree. It's Ten Hag is the man. Don't cross him.
Oh. Okay. And Box is saying if Heaton continues to have injuries and Onana is at AFCON, we'll be left with two goalkeepers with very difficult names to pronounce. So is that a bit of a worry?
Yeah.
Would Heaton be? So you think Heaton is second choice at the club?
Who isn't?
No, do you think Heaton is second choice at the club?
It's got to be the Turk, isn't it, Mr. B? The Turk, we signed for 15 million. He's surely going to be second choice.
Right. So that means if Ten Hag bought him, I mean, it's weird because why would you go in for a goalie that you have no faith in then?
I've absolutely no idea. But Rajiji has lots of ideas. And one of them is that he must have known, as an issue from the African Cup of Nations and the different game format times for them players, maybe shouldn't get a Dean Henderson or De Gea. I think I would say that's quite an unpopular view on Dean Henderson. And if you keep De Gea, you can't get in another big... You can't get Onana in, can you?
I don't know. They're gone now. Both of them have gone, haven't they? Yeah, De Gea's definitely gone. Did De Gea find a club by half time? I'm not sure.
I think he's on an extended holiday still.
Okay, well, yeah. They're both at the club.
So, is that... Question. Yeah. Obviously, with De Gea still not being bought, do you think it's because he's asking for too much money or people don't think he's good enough?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, the money must be an issue. Who's going to sign him? Everyone's set up already with their clubs, with their goalkeepers. Where he might be fussy, saying, I'm going to wait for the right move. I'm surprised he hasn't gone to Saudi Arabia. He'd definitely get his wages over there. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I only just considered that. I forgot about him completely.
It could also be to do with the fact that he couldn't get a club in before pre-season, and you don't want to be bringing a keeper in, as the season started. But it's Eddie's football waffle.
Big up, Eddie.
He's bigging up everyone, hoping that United sort these issues out, and it's almost time to resume real football. I agree with that. And then some waffle about the likes. If you like it, like it. If you don't. I'm not bothered. But apparently I should be. And good luck to Onana. Everyone should rep their country when they can. I completely agree, though. But Box has an interesting comment, which is that Onana was retired from international football when we bought him. And so he's now gone back to play for Cameroon. Yes. Amonde had said that there was a fallout between him and Rigobert Song.
Yeah, I remember. So is Rigobert Song still the manager, though, yeah?
I really don't know. I think with situations like this, imagine your Cameroon FA, Football Association. Who would you rather get rid of? Ridderberg Song, who's just a manager, or the guy who's been nominated for a Ballon d'Or, is a big profile for your country, more famous than Ridderberg Song at the moment because he's playing for Man United and be nominated for the Ballon d'Or as well. I think something must have been done. I don't know if Song's still there, but I think if they were going to weigh it up, the Cameroon FA would say, "Look, Song, man, you can't be playing the arse like this. We need Onana playing for us. It's going to bring TV money. It's going to bring the spotlight on Cameroon football. We need him in the side."
Well, good evening to Emma Kay. She's saying that he said he wouldn't play for the Cameroon national team as long as the manager was in charge. Song, I believe his name was. More fun from United. Everyone's favourite Scotsman. It's Niall Kane.
Yes,
hello,
Niall.
lads. And then Box with his look. That's Casemiro in his profile picture, because of the landmark. He's blessing Morocco and Libya. Niall's eating. And Emma Kay is saying that Onana doesn't have a problem with Ten Hag. It's just a few reports. Just because a player and a manager are having conversation doesn't mean there are troubles between them. So, any thoughts on that, Monday? Do you talk to your players?
I think Emma's always level-headed. I always like to listen to Emma because she always brings some balance and calm to the situation. We're getting out of hand here. Oh, no. Someone mentioned Onana and Ten Hag falling out. I never heard that. I wasn't saying that either. But Emma just brought it down, all down to earth and say, stop that. It's not about that. There is no issue. So I'm with Emma on this one.
And I Love Cats is saying that he feels sorry for a manager. He's handled himself well. Think back to the Ronaldo situation. I think some people have different opinions on that. But Hydro is in. He's saying, evening, all hope you're all well.
Big up, Hydro.
And Box is saying that Inter Milan player posted a statement on his Twitter account saying, my story with the Cameroonian national team has come to an end. So, more Twitter fun. And we all know that Niall knows his football. And he's saying, Scott McTominay, what a player. Euro top goal scorer with 6 goals. I know,
And?
Niall.
And Niall.
Yeah, that's just...
I think he must have watched yesterday's show. He's trying to push someone's buttons, Mr. V.
Sounds like it.
All right. So we're gonna switch topic, lads, and if you can see at the bottom of your screen, we've got Sancho fallout, and there has been some Sancho news today published by both the Athletic and the national newspapers, and I've forgotten what it is. It is that I've remembered now. First time hosting, lads. This is how you do it. Real professional. It is that Murtau has sent Arnold, or vice versa, to mediate between Ten Hag and Sancho, and lots of stories have come out from Borussia Dortmund about the measures that they had to take in order to get Sancho basically to get to training. So, any thoughts on this, Amondo?
Yeah, most certainly. I did read a little bit about this story, what happened in Dortmund. So apparently he's gone to Dortmund and they said, yeah, in the game, he's fine, no issues. But when it comes to training, there's some issues there. He doesn't turn up on time, punctuality, it's that kind of thing. He's up gaming all night or like going through his wardrobe, who knows? But he's turning up late. So what they did, this is what I do with a guy called Omar, plays for our football team. We say meet at 9:30, he turns up at 10:30. So we say meet at 8:30 to Omar. And he's still late, that sort of thing. So that's the same situation we have. I was going to say something there, but, there's a brother, we call it brother. I'll say it on here, brother time. So, not what I was going to say, the other word. But, yeah, so I think with brother time, Sancho's a bit slack and he's... it's a stereotypical thing, like I'm laid back, I just walk in when I walk in. No, man, you're a professional. You got to sort it out, especially when he was in Germany. So there were issues there, and it's all coming to light now about that they asked him to come into training a bit earlier to avoid him being late and to get him more disciplined. They said it worked for a period of time, and then he went back to his old ways again. So what do you do to keep on top of him? what do you call these things? My mum was a pastor, in pastels thing where you mentor someone or just hang around them, an advisor, being around this guy all the time. They tried all methods to get him to do it right because they realised he's a talented player. Just going back, I think I saw footage. There's everything's about Sancho these days, but I saw footage. He was playing futsal about 12, 13 years old. He scored the most magical goal, chop, switching feet. But, I think, oh, what a talent. And, we see these videos lately of these young talents coming through. Who's the next wonder kid? He was the wonder kid back then. And it just seems he's turned into like a real mess now with this whole story. How can he be watching Bellingham do what he did yesterday? How can he be watching Grealish come take his place? Everything was set up for him. Everything was laid out for him to sort of dine from the table of greatness, and he's decided to just be slack. A bit like the Dembele from France as well. I've heard issues with him staying up late playing FIFA or playing video games and all that kind of thing, and just strolling into training. That's not acceptable. And when you get to the bigger clubs who are serious about winning, you're going to get pulled up about it. And it happened at Dortmund. They tried their best. They sold him. And Man United thought we were buying a player who got that out of his system because they felt he was at Dortmund. They worked on his problems and it was working out all right based on his results, what he was doing on the pitch, but clearly not.
I mean, when you talk about video games and stuff, do you remember the first player that blamed a bad result on a video game?
Balotelli?
David James, wasn't it?
It was Mr. B.
Oh, right.
It was Tomb Raider.
Really?
Yeah, he played too much Tomb Raider.
Oh, wow.
Mr. B, are you here?
I'm still here.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on Sancho and the goings on?
Well, if a grown man needs a chaperone, as Monday's calling it, to get him out of bed and get him to training, what's the point? What is the point? Is he not self-motivated to get his ass up? Set 4 alarms. Them men are rich enough to have moving beds with lights and disco things that get them up. These ways these players can get up. He could even hire somebody to blow him off at 7 o'clock in the morning to get him up to come to work. You know what I mean? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And these little things that are coming out now makes you wonder, is it really worth holding on to him? Or trying to keep him, trying to get him to the level that we want him to get him to the level that we want to get him to? I don't know. I think it's weird.
Yeah, I mean...
Fine. Even though you're a host, it doesn't mean you can't talk, man. I want to hear your opinion. What are you saying about this? With this latest development, what we've heard today, I mean, does this sort of seal his fate that he is a lazy, unpunctual kind of dude?
Well, I hate impunctuality, and I don't understand how footballers do this. So remember, there was a guy at Newcastle called Niall Ranger who seemed to have similar problems. Couldn't just. I mean, at what point do you say to an adult, "Look, bruv, you've just got to wake up in the morning and get out of bed"? It's everyone else in the world does it. But on the other hand, I looked at what Borussia Dortmund did, and they made Sancho room with Haaland because they were of similar ages. And they were hoping that Haaland's professionalism would rub off on him. And they also sort of assigned one of the coach's assistants to help him do stuff, i.e. wake up and go to training on time. And I wonder if United... I know, it's mad. It's just mad, isn't it? But it comes back to this theory I've had for quite a long time that we don't have proper senior professionals in the football club that set an example and get on the youngsters, and everyone seems to sort of be really annoyed that we've signed Johnny Evans, but maybe that this is what Ten Hag's trying to do. He's trying to get people with 300 or 400 games of professional football to come in and show people like Sancho how to set an alarm, how to eat spaghetti without getting it on yourself, how to dress yourself, how to get on time, like they're 7-year-olds at school. I don't know. It's just crazy. But
bath time. We had one of the ultimate professionals at the club, and the players didn't seem to want to take any notice of him in Ronaldo.
Well, I mean, like after we've done the comments, we can switch on to the Mike Phelan comments, which relate to that, and Ronaldo and Sancho apparently had a bit of beef, which we'll get to. But let's just do some comments. Am I doing the comments, or what am I doing?
Of course you are. You're the host. You got to take control of everything. Multitask. Let's go.
I feel like I'm Sancho getting getting chaperoned through this. Oops. Okay, so Box is saying perhaps a wage increase might motivate Sancho to arrive on time. I can imagine us doing
Don't
that.
buy it, guys.
And Hydro is saying that he enjoyed Tomb Raider. Mr. B, hello Matty. Mr. B, why are you hiding?
I needed to eat. Sorry. I'm back now.
Yeah, sometimes we see it before we go on live, and it's literally like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park, just devouring a sheep. There's blood everywhere. And it's Emma K. To be fair, I don't think Sancho has support, or at least a good support group behind him. Seems to be the same issues coming up again, and nothing's being worked on. So,
do you think that should be more friends, his personal friends?
Yeah.
Or you're talking about as in people from the club? Because I would assume it would be friends. Maybe he doesn't have. Maybe his friends aren't, maybe the most desirable. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're not up at.
Great example of Nara Ranger. If you listen to his story, it's ridiculous. And there's another guy called Leon Knight as well, who I thought was such a little talented player. And he just went west and went down the leagues because he didn't have the attitude. He wanted to rave all the time. He was on it. He wanted to, square up to man. He was 4'10" or something like that. He was just a reckless football player. And he must look back with regret because he was such a talent, just like Sancho, just like Nara Ranger was. I think there's so many stories with Nara Ranger. I mean, we'd do a whole show on him, the reputation he had. And he was a good player, big, strong, good player, but the attitude was wrong. And sometimes you just have to sort of tone it down a bit and just play along with it. Like Paul Ince. For me, Paul Ince is the perfect example of that because for me, Paul Ince, he came from East London. He's a West Ham boy, wasn't he? And he was one of these guys, who I always felt was like, he had two voices. He would be like, yeah, all right, geezer, all right, mate, yeah. Do all that sort of football talk. But behind that, I reckon Paul Ince was a real gangster, like could talk like with the brothers, talk patois and all that kind of thing. A bit like Chris Eubank does, So I think Paul Ince done the right thing by saying, I'm in with the football. When I'm at football, I'm going to talk, yeah, mate, all right, I'm the governor, blah, 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 all that kind of talk, which was acceptable. And he gave him a pass rather than withdrawing or being that rude boy like Nile Ranger and not being a part of it. You have to integrate somehow. And I think Sancho has to do that too, not just by his attitude. I don't think he's got an attitude like that, but I just think by becoming a professional and showing these guys, yeah, I'm going to be first on the drills. I'm going to be showing my desire because I don't want that question that aimed at me, or I don't want to be stereotyped as this flash bling bling guy who doesn't work hard. You can look at Neymar, for example, always February when it's his sister's birthday, he's taking time off or getting injured or getting suspended. Or Romario, you've heard the stories about Romario going off and not coming back. These are reputations that, are not cool in this day and age. And I'm glad we've got a manager who's going to stamp down on it.
And, I mean, a more current example would probably have been Balotelli, who I also think was surrounded by just feckless morons. And I agree with Emma Kay. I think that going forward, we need to learn the lessons of Sancho and not just scout players, but scout what they're like and if they like Tomb Raider or not.
Don't you think they would have done that? Do you think they just bought him blind? Do you think these are stuff that they didn't know about before?
I'm fairly sure that they would have asked Rashford, Shaw, Maguire, what he's like at England camps and things like that. And I think they're all meant to be very, very good friends. But, I mean, it's Manchester United. We don't appear to do anything sensibly. Under Ragnick, we hired a psychologist that I am more qualified than. Like, I just don't understand. It's true. Like, I don't understand what our football club are doing most of the time. But Box, Box is taking the more right side of the argument here, as in the political right, saying he's a grown man, to be fair, on 350k a week. He can hire an entourage, give him all the TLC he needs. So have some of that, Emma, from Box. And Football United Television are saying Bellingham looked at Carrington and thought, stuff this, second best. In Germany, it's better. And he was right. Glazer's out, lol. Nice to see that even though Vincent's not here, his spirit lives on. Nile Ranger gun photos. Hydro. Pay me 350k a week and I'm up at 4 a.m. doing a 10k run before training.
Half time, you do that without the wage.
Well, not a 10k. I do a 6k at 6 in the morning.
Sorry?
I run 6 kilometres every morning. It's not that shocking, Mr. B. It's part of being an adult. You do exercise, you dress yourself.
6k
Yes,
every
6K.
morning.
Every morning. Unless it's before or a match day.
Wow.
I
I don't have that dedication.
Well, you really need to hate yourself to do it. You've got to like look at yourself and think, "Oh, I look rough. I've got to get up and go running."
Oh, that's why then. That's why
Yeah.
I love myself. So yeah, I look in the mirror and think, wow. So yeah, all right, yeah, maybe. Maybe that's why I ain't going jogging at 6 o'clock. Wow. Okay,
All right, well,
fair enough.
Rajiji is back and he's saying Bellingham did it right and he did Germany as a kid now, Spain as a young man, which will build him ready for when it's a man to play in the Premier League the right way. I really like the suggestion that Real Madrid are a feeder club for the Premier League. That makes me feel very happy. Emma Kay is biting back at Box. That's not what I mean. A supportive family and or friends telling them the facts straight on. No matter how old you get, you still need support. I think that's a really good comment, to be fair. And then the last one for now, I think, is that it's Rajiji again. Sancho went from Germany to England and missed out the vital part, and Kane went from England to Germany, which is a backward step. I don't know if Spurs to Bayern Munich, I'd call that a backward step. Would you guys?
No.
And then Zoe's Media House is in, saying, evening, gents. Evening, Zoe. And
Hi, Zoe.
Samuel Ingram, who I don't think we've seen before. So
We have.
We have. Okay, my apologies. Ahmad and Facundo Palestri should be playing on the right wing ahead of Jadon Sancho. And then it's the main man. It's Vincent Bullock, pictured there with his brother Garnacho.
They understood. It looks like Alexa understood your wording today. That makes perfect sense there, Vincent.
Yeah, look at that. Perfect, Vincent. And then Anthony is talking symbolics. And so he's saying, is it me or do the majority of Man United fans praise other teams' players more than their own players? I remember a time fans would never praise another club or other team players.
Example, please, Zoe.
Yeah, please. I'm trying to think have I ever praised anybody over anybody? I hate all other teams. Have I praised other players?
Ian Wright?
Yeah, but
Thierry Henry?
They're as old as me. Well, Ian Wright is. Maybe Thierry Henry's not quite there yet, but I wouldn't praise him. No. Must talk about no, you. No, us. We're not going to take that one personal, Zoe.
Vincent is saying, if you check out my channel on the videos, you'll see me with all the players I meet. This is really good tonight, Vincent. Extremely easy to understand. And Matthew Bassett, you've turned up late, Matthew.
Big up Matthew Bassett.
Change your name to Sancho.
He's always here. He's always change your name to Sancho.
All right, so we're now going to go on to Mike Phelan. All right. So yesterday, Phelan gave an interview to Sky Sports News where he talked on a variety of topics, including Ralph Ragnick, Ronaldo, Sancho, Ollie, Maguire, and Ten Hag. But I think we'll start off with the Ronaldo and Sancho stuff. So, Monday, how much of this are you aware of?
I've watched little segments of the interview. What I didn't hear about the Sancho stuff, him directly named Sancho, but he did say indirectly from the clippets I heard that he was asked a question about Ronaldo when he first came to the club, because he was there, Mike Phelan, and Ronaldo most recently. And he said when Ronaldo first came to the club, there were leaders there. He said that Ronaldo showed that desire coming from Portugal. Even back then, he wanted to be the greatest. He wanted to be that good, and really showed, tested the staff, the coaching staff, because he was assistant at the time, and Carlos Queiroz as well. He mentioned him. So it shows you that a player can really test the coach and make you think, oh my God, I need to step up my standards because this guy wants to take it to another level, and which is exactly what he ended up doing in his career. So obviously Mike Phelan's at the club again. When he returns to the club, Ronaldo, and they was asked what the difference is. He said Ronaldo had already made it, but his standards were high. But he wanted the rest of the club, as we know with Ronaldo's statements, he didn't hide that. He wanted the rest of the clubs to come up to the level. It's not to say he was going to go up any further. I think Mike Phelan was basically saying he was sort of coming to the end of his career, but he still had the high standards to maintain, and he expected more from the players and the standard of the club. All round, and once again he was testing the management, as we saw with the confrontation bumping heads with Ten Hag in the end because of that. So I think the intention's good with wanting to do so well, but obviously it's going to rub some people up the wrong way, whether it's coaching staff, management, which you did with Ten Hag, and players, which I would lead on to you if you know something what happened with the players. You mentioned Sancho and Ronaldo possibly not getting along because of the slackness.
Well, I'll hand over to Mr. B just because I think that you had some stuff you wanted to say earlier about Sancho, and now the time has arrived, and it's your time. Take it.
God, what was I going to? I forgot what I was going to say now. Was I in a bad mood?
It was literally 10 minutes ago. Do you not have direct access to your own memories?
Listen, I keep telling my short-term memories is on a completed. Haven't you seen the show on a Friday? Oh, Saturday, I'll ask him a question, and I've forgotten I've asked him. I'll ask him again after I've asked everybody else. My memory is terrible. If you don't remind me what I've said, it's not going to come back to me until maybe 3 weeks down the line when I'm having a shit. It'll be like, oh shit, we're talking about that.
Have you seen the interview?
Oh, I've heard bits and pieces. To be fair, bits and pieces.
Well, one of the most interesting things in the interview pertaining to Sancho was that Ronaldo called a team meeting with senior players and staff where he wanted us to move from a 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2 because he felt it would give him more opportunities to score and that the team would win more. And during in the 3 previous games, Sancho had actually scored 2 goals. From the right wing position of this 4-3-3, and from there Sancho went on a bit of a sort of a downward spiral because it was all about Ronaldo, and the point of this is that what Phelan said is that Ronaldo and all great players work to improve themselves, not the team. That they make it about themselves to be the best they can, and the team benefits from that, but it's primarily about themselves. And I was wondering if that is the attitude that we need at Manchester United, or is this just something that only exceptional players like Messi, like Ronaldo, are able to kind of demand?
I think there's a lot of players. I think there's a lot of players like that. I think there's a lot of players who obviously lesser level than those two, but even mediocre players will probably feel that the team should be built around them. So what Sancho was moaning because he didn't want to be the right winger, he wanted to be the right forward. What to do less work tracking.
Ronaldo wanted him out of the team. He wanted him to swap with Cavani, basically.
You could understand why Sancho would have been pissed if that was the comment that was made or the suggestion that was made. Cristiano Ronaldo's not the captain, so it makes no difference. I just I just feel that there's a lot of egos, and if you haven't earned the right to have, Ronaldo's earned the right to say and do what he wants in football. Sancho may never get to the level that we or hope that he's gonna get to, and maybe it was something that bothered him. Maybe it was an intimidation thing. Somebody put in about the number 7 shirt. I'm sure he's not going to hold that personal. But I mean, look, he wouldn't have deserved it. Can you imagine him playing in the number 7? They would have killed him.
Well, I think the number 7 went to Cavani. Cavani came the year Sancho was meant to come, and the 7 went to him.
Oh,
and then
yes.
Cavani gave it up to Ronaldo, and as Box said, decided to go on holiday for a year and
season. I think the Ronaldo situation really, really pissed off Cavani. I think Cavani thought he was number 1. Obviously, you know the levels. There's levels to the game in it. As much as Cavani is a world-class player, Ronaldo was always going to outshine him, and maybe it put his nose out of joint, and he just thought, "F it, I'm not even going to bother."
Well, he had that situation with Neymar, I believe, where they had to pay him a lot of money to give Neymar penalties at PSG because he had top goal scorer in his contract. Like Cavani sort of went from being Neymar's number 2, came to the club, did well, had a brilliant song, and then Ronaldo came in and nicked his number and all this. But I think the interesting thing about it is this a result of Ronaldo just being too powerful, or is our squad just too mentally weak to deal with challenges?
You pose a good question. You said earlier about Ronaldo creating them. Right, imagine this: I'm manager, and then you got the players getting together and saying, "I want to change the formation." I'm thinking, well, why do you want to change formation? I'm the one who picks the formation. I pick the players to go into the formation. But Ronaldo's come along and said, "Right, I feel," and this is not, you know what his ego's like. He's proven it. He's backed it up. But he's saying, "I feel we can be better as a team if I get more service, that by playing a 4-4-2, have a player around me, and we can get more goals this way." And that means obviously someone's going to have to miss out, whether it's Cavani or Sancho, whatever. Someone would have to miss out. But you're going to have little clicks if you start doing that, because to his face, you might not have the balls to say it, but behind his back, people will start talking about you and say, "This guy thinks he's all that, he's old. Look at him." So I think Ronaldo, even though he probably in his own mind feels he was doing it for the detriment not for the detriment, for the better of the team, by creating a new formation, because I think we're not getting results here. Let's try this system. But you're undermining the management. We're managers, me and Mr. B. If someone did that in my team, which people have sort of done that in a way, I find that as a disrespect, saying, "I'm the manager, let me pick the team. I think it's best." Players don't come along and do that unless you're more qualified. If you're that qualified, be a manager. Like you were on the bench in Euro 2016 or whatever, when you won the Euros. You're on the bench taking over from the manager, giving all of that from the technical area when you're supposed to be a player. So sometimes he is a challenge, as Mike Phelan said, he's a challenge to the coaching staff. And that's another example of having a meeting and doing all that. But I do also think there's a balance here. I also think, well, maybe there is a point, because we all on the agenda, Man United agenda, covering these games when Ronaldo is there, thinking, right, it's not working out completely. He scored a lot of goals in one season, 18 goals in the Prem. The following season, it wasn't working out for him. Why? What's going wrong here? And maybe he's looking at it saying, "Rah, my standards have gone from that to that. I need to do something about it and put some pressure on these guys so my standards rise again, because I'm the best player here and people need to get the best out of me. And that way this team will do better." That's his mindset. Whereas others might think, nah, it can't run like that. The coaching staff might think that, the manager might think that, and some players, including Sancho, or the guys that might be missing out, might be thinking that too. So it's a fine balance there. But Ronaldo, I will say, he's proven it over the years, but sometimes you have to be a bit mindful about how you're dealing with certain characters in the team, and you can't be full on hard-headed with people, because it's going to create conflict, as it did. He's no longer at the club.
And is Brenny K74? Is this a new viewer?
No, let me just say Brenny K74 is Brendan, my brethren from school. He's an Arsenal fan. He's on the Armory TV as well. Big up to Brenny. Enough respect, man, from Greenford as well.
Oh, boo. Like, yeah. Okay, so we'll just have a quick look at the comments. Rajiji is saying the problem with United is that they're a newspaper club. It's like I need to stay relevant and always publish stories to the newspapers. And here's
I
Vincent.
mean, sorry, just on that one. You know, when Ten Hag came in, he had these he made all of these rules, and one of them was about the leaking stuff on social media and commenting on social media.
Yeah.
It's made no difference, has it?
No.
Has it actually made any difference?
We still get team news leaked. Like the Athletic still receive reports where they quote senior players and things. Nothing's really changed. And I mean, to be honest, like Mr. B, you're a father, and I suspect that when you tell a child not to do something, what actually happens is that they just get better at hiding it, as opposed to stop doing it. And I think that that's probably what's happening at our football club. We're just training up sneaky, sensitive young men. And then here we got Vincent back again. Maybe Ronaldo, after the loss of his child, was hearing voices in his head. Shout out to my brethren, telling him that the team should be based around him when a team is a bunch of players, not an individual.
Vincent.
I love comment, Vincent.
This is the first part of it. Makes the first part of it, and the second part of it is like, Vincent. That's why I love you, brother. That's why I love you, man.
That's good, and I also really like the use of clauses in that sentence. Vincent makes it much easier to read. And Box makes a good point that Ronaldo's been gone for a long time now, and Sancho still hasn't matured. Like, is it time to give up on Sancho? Amonde, you love him?
I love him. I want him to stay and turn this around. Like I'm saying, with Maguire still at the club, I still want him to turn it around. While they're at the club, I want these guys just to back them. I'm not going to be destroying them. I think, unlike Maguire, I think Sancho's just like extremely talented. And I just think you're wasting your time and your potential. He needs to slap. He needs to be beaten. Put over a knee. But these days, you're not allowed to do that. So they're doing it the sensitive way and care and all that kind of thing, and send him to counselling and into the Himalayas to do his meditation. Doesn't work. Mr. B is from a school of hard knocks, and discipline is what. Discipline is what all children need, and not just children, but football players too need discipline, because they are like big children, running around, in the marketplace. They've got loads of money and they need discipline. That's why it's so hard for managers to manage 11 or a squad of 20 players who are well paid and got egos. It's a very difficult thing to do. But the main thing you have to have is consistency and discipline to get these guys in line. And I think
it's internal. If you haven't got it in your makeup, you just don't have it. And maybe he just doesn't have it, or doesn't want to have it, or doesn't want the hard life. Doesn't want the pressure of playing for Man United. Maybe the club's too big for him. Maybe the club and the pressure playing for Man United is too big for Sancho. Maybe he needs to go back to a smaller club, a Villa, or back down to Dortmund, where the pressure's not so much.
But what do you think, Mr. B, in bath time? Like a player like Sancho has always been the star boy wherever he's gone. Do you think that sort of makes you a bit slack? That you don't, bath time about having talent and not having the work rate. We see this all the time, don't we? There's so super talented players that don't have the work rate because they think my talent will always see me through. I don't have to turn up on time because I'm the talented player. I can do what I want because I'm the talented player. I can go and drink like George Best because I'm a talented player and get away with it. Did you just what I'm saying? It's this fine balance. The best players have a bit of both.
So, I mean, for me, first of all, I think that if you treat people like children, you can't expect them to perform like men. Like, I am of the view that there's a concept called transformational leadership, right? Which is that everyone is part of the group, and the aim is to improve everyone in the group. This is the style of management that Klopp has, for example. And at Manchester United, we've obviously assembled a group of children, to be perfectly honest. If you're not turning up on time for work, you're not an adult, because adults get fired for doing that. And so maybe in this case that we need the discipline and stuff. But I would just prefer us to work on sort of motivating our players in a positive way, encouraging them to go out and be the best that they can. And if, like Sancho, they're not rising to this and they're affecting the core dynamics of the team and the playing staff, I think you have to look for solutions to get them out of the club. Because what we don't want, and what Fergie was very keen about, was not unbalancing the dressing room.
Yeah.
Like, there should be a culture in the dressing room where, like, I'm sure all of us, like, the first day that we join, like, a new club, we go there, we don't really know anyone, we don't know what it's about. The captain or the senior players kind of give you the lowdown on how it works and stuff like that. And you have to sort of assimilate into it. Like, you've got to sacrifice part of yourself to be part of a team. It's the nature of it. And I feel that players like Sancho and Rashford, they don't seem to want to sacrifice any of themselves to be in the team. They feel that the team should be a platform for them to show their skills and their abilities. And maybe that's down to promises made to them when we're recruiting. But regardless of what it could be in all these hypotheticals, the reality is that we've got a bunch of boys who don't have a lot of metal in the team, and this is why people miss McFred. Like, and they do miss the B, because they put in, like, the work on the training ground and on the pitch, and we've now got some players that don't do it, and it shows.
You miss them.
I don't miss Fred.
Okay.
Do you miss Fred?
I don't miss either of them. I don't miss either of them.
Right, but would you not want, like, when you look at someone like Bruno, who's got the ability to play for Manchester United, and of course you don't think that Maguire, McTominay and Fred did, but Bruno's got the work rate. Do you not think that someone like Bruno should be getting, like, Sancho by the scruff of his neck and saying, like, look, you've got to run, you've got to get stuck in, you've got to put your elbows into faces, you've got to tread on toes, you've got to play like a man.
Yeah, I would hope he is. I would hope he is. I would hope he's in his ear every single training session that Sancho actually bothers to turn up on time for. I hope he's in his ear. But again, if players don't want to listen, there's not really much that you can do. You can talk until you're blue in the face. They'll tell you yes, yes, yes. And you think it's sunk in, and then they go out on the pitch or they go out the next day and do exactly the same thing that you asked them not to do.
Have you got examples of this from your managerial career and how you solved them?
I fuck them off.
Yeah, I knew you could say it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't pay. They pay me in it. I don't have to worry about man who's on £350,000 a week. They pay me to play. If they don't abide by the rules that I and the club set, they can piss. They can leave the club and go join somebody else's and pay their registration. Yeah.
And is it like 3 strikes and they're out, or did you have like a process?
To be fair, it depends. I've been doing the job long enough to kind of I know a bitch when I see a bitch. Brilliant. So you tend to give them the chance, and then no, I don't do 1, 2, 3 strikes and they're out. They tend to know I'm a very upfront and I'm a very straightforward person, especially when it comes to my team on a Saturday. So after the first couple of weeks, they know exactly where I'm coming from. If they don't like it, go. But guess what? They've already paid their registration. So it's up to them. They either hang around and do it, or, again, they go and find somewhere else to play. I'm not into the bullshit. Especially Saturday's my happy day, apart from when United bloody lose.
You know, guys, it's about motivation and how you motivate players. I think what story inspires me is that Celtic 67 side. I'm sorry I'm talking about other players now. I know we don't want to big up other players from other clubs, but the Celtic 67 side, the one European Cup, they were all local boys, and they're basically amateurs who played with passion and motivation because they wanted to win for the club, you know? And I think the difference between amateur and professional game is amateurs are not paid, and when they're trying to win as a team or individually, the glory is to be a winner. You know, Muhammad Ali, everyone recognizes him as the greatest. But his line, is not. He said it's not about the skill; it's about the will, and it's really true. I've always carried that with me. You can have all the skill in the world, but with Muhammad Ali, it's about the will. When he was felt like he was going to die in the 14th round against Joe Frazier in the Thriller of Manila, it was the will that kept him going through. Not the skill. Skill wasn't. He was getting battered. You know what I'm saying? And there was times that he proved he was greatest because even though he had skills and people have come along being maybe even better than him, like Floyd Mayweather or whatever, technically you might say that he's a better boxer or whatever, but does he have the will? Has he been put in the trenches and proved to be great? And not about the prize money, it's about the glory. And this is the thing. So if you go back to amateur football or go back to sort of wages being in comparison with the everyday man, then you'd really see who's got the will and desire, and you've got a different motivation. A lot of these players know I'm on a big contract, the agent's taking care of things. I don't really have the will to get out of my bed and go to training on time, as what Sancho's been accused of. So I think you need to give them a beating and have that discipline. I disagree. I think the discipline is very important in this day and age to get the best out of these players, because regardless, it doesn't matter what sort of money you got, you might be driving a nicer car or whatever, you still need to have discipline and the desire to be the best you can be. That's how you become great, and that's how you get motivated, having the will to win, and without knowing that I'm content and I've got a house and I've got a car and everything's set and my future's set up for me. You know what I'm saying? Why do you, Darius, go out and run every morning? Because you've got the will to win. Why do you inspire your teammates when you play football on a Saturday and Sunday? Because you've got the will to win. What motivates you? It's not money. It's about winning and challenge and glory. That's what it's about for you, and that's why.
Well, also, I'm very scared. I have a recurring nightmare of waking up fat. Like,
and that as well.
This is why ice creams are such a big issue to me. But let's do some comments, and then we'll come back to that. And the first one is from Vincent. Amonde met Sancho, and he was saying, "Hey, what's wrong with you? I think you got a." Vincent's trying to get me to do karaoke, which I'm not a very good singer. I'll shock you. Anthony Herbert. What happened to the young players that used to clean the boots and work hard? These days, there's way too much and flash cars, in my opinion. And it's interesting because they also used to shoot them, didn't they? Was it Ashley Cole that used to get his air rifle out and just start pinging them at the Chelsea training ground? And he brought that in with him. He woke up, picked up his air rifle, and went, "I'm going to shoot some children today."
Ashley Cole did that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then Box is saying, in 2021, out of all of the young players in world football, I would have had Sancho only behind Mbappe and Haaland, but he was in their same bracket. And I agree with that, because I think in
Neymar.
2017, I would have probably put Martial as in the top 3 or 4 players of his age group. And it's another one that's never fulfilled his promise.
Sorry, Neymar also said that Sancho is going to be one of the next big superstars of football. Back then.
And Rajiji is saying, okay, real question. Greenwood is on loan, and Manchester haven't really replaced him. Will he be coming back next season? And would Peeps be okay with that? Just speaking for myself, absolutely not. Amondo?
Mr. B's muted himself, so I don't want to speak on this subject again. I think we've done with this. I don't want to make my feelings clear. I just want, we need to move on from this. I don't, it's a loss.
Well, let's move on to Vincent Bullock. Discipline school. We never even had detention at my school. What is Amonde suggesting? Bringing back the cane for players? Why?
Yes. Can I just say, I got the cane in school. When the headmaster walked into the classroom, we all had to stand up. That's discipline for me. And it doesn't happen today. And look at how useless and rowdy a lot of young people are these days. Out of control. You need discipline.
Do you get caned, Mr. B?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
We've got Emma Kay saying here, we had to establish the first rules. We have to establish the rules first for them to evolve into expectations. There wasn't high expectations before. So I think what she's referring to is Ollie, like, just ran a sort of a cruise boat where everyone could do what they wanted, and now like Ten Hag's come in, and it's like, you know, major Ten Hag. You've got to do what I say, and maybe the jump is too much for them. Box, he misses the endeavour and attitudes of McFred, but that should be a prerequisite of all players, but it's not. And that is completely true. Like, as much as I didn't really like Fred, he had everything I'd expect from a Manchester United academy player.
Yeah.
And then, so he's media house. Notice no one talks about Fred anymore, lol. I actually missed the little Brazilian Frodo. I'm extremely unhappy with that comment. That is a disgrace to hobbits everywhere. To Fred as Frodo. Unbelievable. Mr. B on Ten Hag's coaching staff as the bad cop.
That would work. It'd scare a few of them, for sure.
I just
Mr.
speak
B?
my mind. I just talk my mind. If people don't want to hear, I don't. I'm too old to give a
let's
shit.
pretend they're all sitting down in the dressing room now, all there, no talking, hands on their knees. The door gets kicked off its hinges. A silhouette comes in like a little Clint Eastwood in a Hollywood, in a Western. And you've got to tell these players what's what. What are you saying?
I'm very. To be fair, I only kick off when the effort's not there. That's the only time that I really kick off, to be fair. Lateness does bother me, but I understand that, you know, people, but I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not that guy. Yeah, I used to be a door kicker and a ranter and a raver and a shouter, but I think age has mellowed me a lot. I try to be a little bit more diplomatic and understanding of other people's needs. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that sounds all right, isn't it?
It does.
That's the biggest load of shit.
Yeah. Spoken like a true sociopath.
Yeah, I'm not a ranter and a raver anymore. I try not to be. It doesn't get you anywhere, and it just gives you a headache on a Saturday.
Okay, well, Vincent is saying that Duncan Edwards was the greatest of all time. And Hydra said, do you think Keno would let players turn up late? No way. I think he's right there, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. But again, is it a different era?
Yes.
Still no excuse. We can't.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we just can't accept values that are not that are going to be destructive. You know, it's dysfunctional to have poor values like that. These days, everything's been flipped on its head. Keane wasn't that long ago, and he would not put up with that because he knows these are good values to have. And if you change that and say it's a new era, and in this new era we don't value those things anymore, the result is you're going to be losers.
Yeah, I think it comes down to club culture once again, and too much is slipping, and players are trying to be like sneaky instead of buckling down.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I personally love training almost as much as playing football matches. I look forward to training. It's fantastic. But I know a lot of people hate it. But I just don't understand what's going on with the club. It's such a mess that they can't even go to training. And DK Wilson is saying that Rio talks about young players having to clean boots. He also said those days are no longer, which makes Rio feel sad because it established respect. I've got to say, I think Rio might be talking out of his arse here, as from the age of 17, Rio was a first-team regular at West Ham, and he's never struck me as a particularly professional person.
Do you remember when we did the podcast with Barry Miller, their former Doncaster captain? He came up for the Hard Knocks. He had to sort of have that respect, and he had good values as well. He had a decent career because of that.
And he never missed a year of football over a missed drugs test. Unlike Rio. And Regigi is saying United fans should get behind Harry Maguire to the end of the season, or at least January, instead of putting pressure on him.
I agree.
Do you?
Yeah.
He should have left.
He's here.
He should have left.
January, at least we got support.
No, don't get me wrong. On Monday, if he plays, I'm not going to boo him. I just don't want him to make no mistakes. Don't play the game and don't make a mistake for an hour, for an hour and a half. That's all. Just play the game and don't make a bloody mistake.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
And Himanshu is saying, if a minimum wage employee are going to work on time, how is it a big deal to ask 300k a week employee to show up? Well, that's unfortunately modern economics for you, where it's very easy to replace a minimum wage employee. But when you've spunked 80 million on Sancho, I think that's your answer. And I also think that we're coming to the end of the show, as I've completely forgot that we're going overtime. But someone fed Mr. B, so he's much more sated today. So, Amonde, you love the any other business part. Do you have any other business?
Yeah, I just want to say tomorrow is getting a day closer to that Brighton game, and I think we really need to start focusing on that. It's a massive, massive game with all these issues. Because the last 3 days, in it, Bath time and Mr. B, we've been talking about these sort of outside football issues or personal issues with players, which we're sick of it now. We're sick of it as fans, and we want to get back to the Premiership and high standards. And obviously, we've got Brighton and we've got Bayern Munich away. It's going to be massive. So I just want to get our football heads on again and start talking tactics, what we're going to do, how we're going to win, and who's going to step up and be dare to be great. Because these two games are massive for us, and I think it could sort of have a big
define the season.
Yeah, about what happens next. Past this, I'm expecting us to be positive. So from tomorrow, that's where my head's at. I don't want to hear no more chat about Sancho, all these losers, these loser mentality players who are sort of bringing our club down.
Mr. B, do you have any other business you want to share with us?
I don't, to be fair. As he said, my belly's full, so I'm very contented. I have nothing else to talk about. I did my moaning yesterday. I'm not gonna moan until Saturday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm just glad football's back. I'm glad we can talk about football.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're not going to be talking about, feelings, words, and the Glazers just getting on everybody's tit. I want to be able to talk about football. I want to talk about Solo's 11. I want to talk about how well we played or how well we didn't play. I want to talk about bloody Højlund banging in a couple on his debut. I want to talk about Amrabat getting 20 minutes. I want to talk about Martinez hopefully being fit to play and Varane suddenly being magically available for the Bayern Munich game. Maybe I'm living in a dream world, but this is where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, couldn't agree anymore. The football can't come fast enough. I suppose my only other business would be just an update on last night. I mentioned to the lads that I'd made a video about transitions, pressing and counter presses, and I don't believe that any of them watched them.
No,
So
I
I've got
haven't
mine.
watched it.
No,
Well, I came off the show and I was going to watch it. Then my phone started ringing, and I was got consumed with something else. And I thought, I'll do that later. It's only 7 minutes, so
yeah. No, I'm kidding, lads. And Monday promised me he was going to watch Lord of the Rings over a year ago.
all right. Don't bring that one up
He
again.
hasn't got round to doing it. I just thought our viewers would be there. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching. I'm sorry this has been a bit of a shit show with me trying to host, but I hope you
shut up,
enjoyed it.
Goss.
And if there's anything that you want us to cover or do more in depth or anything like that, we're always up for feedback. So send it to Mr. B at the Man United Agenda on Twitter, and I'll bid you all a good evening. Bye bye.
Do you know how to end it?